Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and we have something really exciting to take a look at. This is something I have been so looking forward to for so long, ever since it was announced. It is the Jurassic World Rebirth PUPPETRONIC Dolores the Aquilops. This is from Wow Stuff, and it is something that every single time a new movie releases, we usually get some sort of like a puppet kind of figure from Wow Stuff, and I'm always really excited about it. And as you can see, this time we have a Dolores, which is, again, pretty much like 1-to-1 scale here, and it looks incredible. It's by far the most screen accurate and most beautiful Dolores that is out right now when it comes to, companies like this. It's super, super nice looking, straight here. Again, standing in the packaging, you can see how incredible and how realistic this thing looks. You can also see down here, again, we've got the Jurassic World Rebirth logo. We as well have someone over here that happens to have the Dolores on his shoulder. And if we turn it over here to the side, a really cool image of Dolores. Actually, really nice artwork. That would be a great image to use for reference if you were repainting a Dolores figure. And then here on the back, we can see, again, Dolores popping up out of the backpack, as well as some more images of some kids holding the figure, as well as some information about it, the fact that it sits on your shoulder. And of course, over here we can see it has realistic head and mouth movement, and of course touch sensors as well. So I'm going to go ahead, pop this out of the box, and we'll check it out. So there is our Dolores, and wow, is this thing ever incredible here out of the packaging. Again, outside of the fact that you have a cable running out of it and a tag right there, it looks like pretty much a straight up living dinosaur. It is that nicely done. It's also not a hand puppet like we've had previously where you use your hand to control it. That is not how this one works. This is basically like a puppet, well, a PUPPETRONIC, where you have like a little controller back here to operate, and it's also kind of interactive just in general, like by using your hands. So starting here in the head sculpt, you can see the head sculpt of our Dolores is fantastic. We have some really nice looking scale detail that you can see popping up here throughout the face. There's also a nice kind of an orangish brownish sort of tone with a light sort of off-white or like a tan that shows up very nice and smoothly airbrushed on. You can see it down here. You can also see it as you lead up into the frill. The overall structure of the head and everything, again, looks exactly as Dolores does in Jurassic World Rebirth. We can also see some bumpier clusters of scales as you get closer to this horn up here on the top of the head. A little more airbrushing over the top of that area where the horn is. We can see the beak, and even within the beak, again, the fine detail looks really good, really crisp, very highly detailed. We as well have a really nice glass eye that we can see in there. Kind of looks like maybe there's a brown and a black. I'm not entirely sure, but it looks really lifelike. We can definitely see the lights kind of shining off of it as well, again, helping to show you how lifelike it is. The head itself is kind of like a hard plastic, but the beak is a rubbery feel. Same deal with this horn, so it is a little flexible. And of course, inside the mouth, you can see the tongue in there. Nice pinkish tone for the tongue, as well as a nice gloss coat. No coloration on the inside of the mouth and the upper side, but again, it looks really good in there. As we move back, this is the area where we are probably a little more familiar with when it comes to these type of figures, because we do, of course, have that fabric body, and this is what we had seen on both the Tyrannosaurus Rex as well as the Velociraptor they had released. And again, the good thing about the fabric is it allows them to give you a really highly detailed coloration on it, and you can see again all sorts of little scales that have been colored, and it looks really good. There's also a lot of variations of browns, darker and lighter shades, as well as orangish browns as you move up there toward the back, and you'll see that as you continue to move out. But as you move out into the tail, you start to pick up those stripes, and we can see the stripes are again a blackish tone of color, and they also kind of speckle and just basically pattern all over the place. We of course also see the light tone, that kind of like off-white pickup, which brightens the tail quite significantly. And again, that is all the coloration that you do see on Dolores in the film. We also can transition down here to a lighter tone for the underbelly of Dolores, and we can also again see that when it comes to that fabric, something that you wouldn't always think could look so realistic, it really does look quite nice, and again, very highly detailed. It definitely allows them to give the dinosaur, again, like I said, a very highly detailed coloration. And as we move through, another thing that's really cool when it comes to this one is we do have just regular average sculpted legs, which look extremely impressive. Again, this is probably one of the nicest releases that I have seen from WoW Stuff. And as you move through those legs, we can see some variation of color with different shades of browns, very smooth and naturally applied with an airbrush, transitioning to a lighter tone as we move down through the legs. You'll see the same for the rear legs. We can also make out the musculature very nicely. Like this front leg here looks really muscular. We can see the elbow back there, a little tensing as you move down. Same deal for the rear leg. Again, the muscle definition is shown off really nicely. Even the tensing in the leg back here is shown off nicely. We have the kneecap right there in the front of the leg, the calf muscle, as well as some nice scoots that move down the toes into the foot sculpt. And yes, you do have painted claws, not just on the rear feet, but on the front feet as well, which is very exciting. And what is also cool is you actually have articulation in the legs. You can move the legs forward and back, and that works for all of the legs, both the front and rear legs. And as you can see, again, it goes pretty far, so you could definitely get some really cool poses, making it almost look like she's like trying to itch her head and everything. So again, the ability to articulate the legs, in my opinion, is a massive plus, not to mention just how nicely painted and sculpted they are. The skin texture jumps off of the sculpt beautifully. If we turn the figure around, you'll of course see the exact same thing over here as what we had seen on the other side. The only real difference is you can kind of see like these little circles and ovals and stuff here on this side, but they've done a pretty good job of kind of, you know, hiding that and obscuring it on this side of the head. Again, all part of the assembly of the figure, helping to create this puppetronic. And you can see, again, the legs and everything look pretty much the same over here. We can kind of see how just the, you know, toes are touching here, like the tips of the toes almost touching on the front legs. The rear legs are basically planted down on the ground, again, looking really, really good. And we return again back to the fabric, and you can see the cable coming out here. Now, the cable itself leads out, it's just kind of hanging at this point, but it leads out to a controller, and which actually has the Jurassic logo right there. Now, you use the different buttons here on the controller for different aspects of Dolores. So if we push this one, you can see the mouth opening and closing. If we push this one, whoops, I pushed another button there, but if we push this one, you can see the eyes blink. And then we also have this one up here, which moves the head and neck area really, really nicely. Like, look at how cool that looks. And you can also, of course, do different things at the same time while you're moving them. You can make her blink and everything, making it just look extremely realistic and lifelike. Now, on top of that awesomeness, if we turn the dinosaur on the underside, which it did not come with batteries, so that's something to keep in mind if you go ahead and grab this one. But obviously, we can turn it on, and it instantly made a noise, and I believe there is a head sensor somewhere. I'm not too sure where. Oh, there we go. You can hear some noises that our little Dolores is making. And of course, we again have these buttons. I don't know if it makes any noise. I haven't gotten to this point yet. Sounds like we've got numerous different noises. And I'm sure there are tons of more noises and everything that you could figure out on these figures. You know, with the last few, it took me a while, even after the review, to really get a feel for the figures and really get a feel for everything that they could achieve. It's really hard to figure it all out. Oh, she's going to keep talking. But to figure it all out instantly, so that's, of course, another fun aspect of these figures. I am going to turn this off so she doesn't keep making noises. And then we'll go ahead and put her back down here and get a size. Actually, before we do that, there's also this included, which this is basically, you put this on your shoulder. I'm knocking the controller down here. But you put this on your shoulder, and then we have a magnet that actually attaches to the underside of the figure, as you can see. And so you put this on your shoulder, and obviously you put it under your shirt, and then you put Dolores on top of your shirt, and then it would hold Dolores on so she does not fall off of your shoulder. Again, really fun playability with this one, and you could definitely have a great time fooling people like young kids and stuff into thinking you've got a real dinosaur on your shoulder. As far as the size goes, for a length from the beak to the tail, around 15 inches or 38 centimeters. And then for a height, about 6 3/4 inches, or just shy of 17.5 centimeters. For a size comparison, there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Colovosaurus, Robert Muldoon, and the Collect Day Human Being, next to our Wow Stuff Puppetronic Dolores, and you can see, again, definitely quite sizable. It's probably one of the larger figures they've released, although the T-Rex and the Toothless, as well as the Velociraptor, were all actually pretty big, so in general, they're usually quite sizable. But the good thing about this one is, as you can see, like, when it comes to the others, sometimes, like, it's hard to kind of pose it because you don't have any real way to have it stand, whereas Dolores stands beautifully on her own. Now, one unfortunate downside for me is I actually just took all of the Dolores figures that I acquired from Rebirth and put them into my storage unit, and they are kind of scattered throughout a few different boxes, and I'm definitely not going to go dig them out just for a little comparison here because I don't think it's really all that important. This is by far the best Dolores that I have seen so far. But here is the Habitat Defender Triceratops from Mattel, and I wanted to bring this one in because you can really see again that the size of Dolores here is pretty much equal to the size of the Habitat Defender Triceratops, which that is by far the largest Triceratops so far to come from Mattel, again showing you that this Aquilops from Wow Stuff is definitely quite large. And if we were to take a standard wild roar or roarivore size range ceratopsian from the Jurassic World line, you can see with this Diabloceratops that obviously the Dolores here is significantly larger. And same case if we bring in the recently released Jurassic World Survival Wild Roar Afrovenator, you can see again that Dolores is quite a bit larger. And then we have one final comparison with the brand new Jurassic World Rebirth Lab Lockdown Tyrannosaurus Rex next to our Aquilops, again showing you that the Aquilops is pretty darn similar in size to that T-Rex. So this Wow Stuff Jurassic World Rebirth Puppetronic Aquilops, Dolores the Aquilops, is fantastic. It is easily my new favorite Puppetronic figure from Wow Stuff. They really knocked this out of the park, and honestly, I had high hopes for this, and standing here looking at it before me, it is actually even better in hand than I ever expected it to be. It is like actually having Dolores here in my collection standing here right in front of me. It is so darn nice, and I could imagine how insanely impressive this would look if you actually went ahead and, you know, painted up the body a little bit more closely resembling what you see in the film, again with like a higher quality paint job. Like, this thing could look 110% alive. It is that impressive, and the fine detail throughout, especially in the head and legs, is extremely well done. Of course, when it comes to the fabric body, you might expect it not to look all that lifelike. Well, you'd be wrong, because it really does look extremely realistic here before me. And again, the actual paint apps as well that have been applied to the legs and head also look really well done, and I love that there's variation of color throughout, really smooth transitions throughout as well. Then when it comes to the playability, it is super cool. Again, I love having this little controller where you could basically just like hide that within your clothing and you know, have Dolores look 100% alive, sitting on your shoulder if you choose to have her up there, or basically in your arms. No matter what way you go, the controller that we have here really helps to bring Dolores to life, not to mention the fact that she is interactive. When you pet her head, she does again kind of make some noises to sort of react to that. I like that you can move the mouth and have her blink and move her neck, and on top of that articulate the legs really nicely and really smoothly. So all around, this is a home run from Wow Stuff, and in my opinion is their best release yet. So if you are interested in this, I will include a link in the description to where you can purchase this on Walmart.com right now. So check that link, pick this up if you want it, and like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.